The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between stars. It was bigger than most cities on Earth, with silver walls that gleamed under the artificial lights. Inside its main hall, creatures from across the galaxy had gathered for an important meeting. Some walked on two legs like humans. Others had 4 arms or tentacles instead of fingers. Their skin came in every color, blue, green, purple, and some that seemed to shift and change. At the center of it all sat the Galactic Council, 12 of the most powerful species in known space. They had come to decide one simple question. Should humans be allowed to join them? David Thompson stood with the other human diplomats near the back of the hall. He was 28 years old, tall and thin, with brown hair that always seemed messy no matter how much he combed it. As a scientist who studied alien life, he had dreamed of this moment his whole life. But now that he was here, he felt very small. The aliens around him whispered in their strange languages. Some pointed at the humans and laughed. David could not understand their words, but their meaning was clear. They thought humans were nothing special. "Look at them," said a creature with 4 eyes and skin like tree bark. "They cannot even breathe in space without their silly suits." "I heard they still fight wars on their own planet," added another with tentacles for arms. "How can such violent creatures join civilized society?" David tried to ignore them. He focused on the giant throne at the front of the hall, where Emperor Malik sat. The leader of the Vorthan Empire was 8 feet tall and covered in dark blue scales. His red eyes glowed in the dim light, and when he smiled, sharp teeth showed behind his lips. 2 curved horns grew from his forehead, and his voice was deep enough to shake the floor when he spoke. "Citizens of the galaxy," Emperor Malik began, his words echoing through the hall, "we gather today to discuss a most amusing request. The humans of Earth wish to join our ancient council. They believe they deserve a place among species that have traveled the stars for thousands of years." More laughter filled the hall. The Emperor raised one clawed hand, and silence fell immediately. "Of course, we are fair and just rulers. We do not reject any species without proper consideration. So I have prepared a test for these humans." The way he said the word made it sound like something dirty. "A test that will show us their true nature." David felt his heart beating faster. This was not part of the plan. The human diplomats had prepared for many things, but not a test. "Your Majesty," said Ambassador Chen, the leader of the human delegation. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her voice was strong. "We were told this would be a simple presentation of our achievements and peaceful intentions." Emperor Malik's laugh was like grinding stone. "Plans change, little human. You see, my people believe actions speak louder than words. So I will give you a gift, a chance to prove your worth." He clapped his hands twice. The sound rang out like thunder. From a side door, a group of Vorthan guards entered. They wore black armor and carried weapons that hummed with energy. Between them walked a figure that made the entire hall fall silent. She was clearly Vorthan, but different from the others. Where Emperor Malik was tall and broad, she was smaller, more delicate. Her scales were lighter blue, almost silver in some places. Her horns were shorter and curved backward instead of forward. She wore a simple white dress instead of armor, and her red eyes looked sad and tired. "May I present my youngest daughter," Emperor Malik announced, his voice filled with false pride. "Princess Kira of the Vorthan Empire." The princess walked forward with her head down. She moved like someone who had given up hope long ago. David noticed her hands were shaking slightly. "She is yours now," the Emperor continued, and his words hit the hall like a bomb. "A gift from our empire to yours. Surely such a generous present proves our friendship." David heard Ambassador Chun take a sharp breath beside him. This was a trap, and everyone in the hall knew it. The aliens who had been laughing before now watched with hungry eyes, waiting to see what the humans would do. "Your Majesty," Ambassador Chen said carefully, "this is most unexpected. We cannot simply accept a person as a gift. Princess Kira is not property to be given away. Are you refusing our generous offer?" Emperor Malik asked, and his voice became dangerous. How insulting. Perhaps humans are not as grateful as they claim to be. David could see the trap closing around them. If they refused, the Emperor would claim humans were ungrateful and rude. If they accepted, they would be taking part in what looked like slavery. Either way, their chances of joining the Galactic Council would be destroyed. But as David looked at Princess Kira, he saw something that made his chest hurt. She was trying so hard not to cry. Her shoulders were straight, but he could see the fear in her eyes. She expected the humans to reject her, just like everyone else in her life probably had. "We would be honored to welcome Princess Kira," David heard himself saying. The words came out before he could think about them. But only if she agrees. The choice must be hers. Ambassador Chin turned to look at him with wide eyes. Several other humans started to whisper urgent warnings, but David stepped forward anyway. Emperor Malik's smile became sharp and cruel. "How noble. Yes, daughter, tell our new friends what you choose." Princess Kira looked up for the first time since entering the hall. Her red eyes met David's brown ones across the space between them. For a moment, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. I will go with them," she said, quietly. Her voice was soft and musical, nothing like her father's harsh tones. "If they will have me." The Emperor's laughter filled the hall once again. "Excellent. Consider this my gift to human-Vorthan relations. May you find her as useful as we have." The way he said it made David's hands clench into fists. But Princess Kira just nodded and walked toward the human delegation. When she reached them, she stopped and looked at David again. "Thank you," she whispered, so quietly only he could hear. As the Galactic Council moved on other business, David realized his life had just changed forever. He had no idea how much. The journey to Earth's moon took 3 days on a human transport ship. Princess Kira spent most of that time alone in her small cabin, staring out the window at the stars. She had never seen space from this angle before. Vorthan ships had no windows. Her people believed looking at the void made warriors weak. David knocked on her door every few hours to bring her food and check if she needed anything. Each time, she thanked him politely but said very little else. She was waiting for him to show his true nature. All Vorthan children learned that humans were violent and cruel. Surely the kindness was just an act. On the second day, David brought her a small device. "It's a translator," he explained, holding up a tiny earpiece. "It will help you understand our language better, but only if you want to use it." Kira took the device with careful hands. "You're asking my permission?" "Of course. It's your choice." She put the earpiece in and immediately heard David's voice more clearly. The strange human sound became real words. "This is very advanced technology," she said, surprised. David smiled. "We might not be as primitive as your people think." When they reached Luna Base, Kira got her first real look at human civilization. The moon colony was built inside a series of connected domes. Through the clear walls, she could see Earth hanging in the black sky, like a blue and white jewel. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. "Welcome to your new home," David said as they walked the corridors. Other humans stopped to stare at her, but not with the cruel laughter she was used to. They looked curious, even friendly. "This is where I will serve you?" Kira asked. David stopped walking and turned to face her. "Serve me?" "No, Kira. You're not a servant. You're a guest. Actually, I hope you'll be more than that. I hope you'll be a friend." The word hit her like a physical blow. Friend. In Vorthan, there was no exact translation for the concept. You had allies, enemies, or tools. But friends? The idea was foreign and frightening. David showed her to a set of rooms that were bigger than her quarters back on the Vorthan homeworld. There was a bedroom, a sitting area, and even a small kitchen. The walls were painted soft colors, blue like Earth sky, green like growing things. "These are yours," David said. "Private. I won't come in unless you invite me." Kira touched the door controls. They responded to her immediately. She was not locked in. She was not a prisoner. The realization made her legs feel weak. Over the following days, David began showing her around the base. In the research labs, human scientists studied plants and animals from dozens of worlds. They worked alongside aliens from various species, some who had also sought refuge among humans. "Why do you help them?" Kira asked as they watched the team treating an injured creature from the Rigel system. Because they needed help, David said simply, "Isn't that reason enough?" In the Vorthan Empire, weakness was despised. The injured were left to die or heal themselves. But here, humans spent time and resources saving creatures they had never seen before. It made no sense by Vorthan logic, yet Kira found herself drawn to this strange compassion. David worked as a xenobiologist, studying how different species lived and grew. He asked Kira hundreds of questions about Vorthan biology and culture, but always gently. When she became uncomfortable talking about painful memories, he would change the subject immediately. "Your empathic abilities," he said one day as they sat in the observation dome watching Earth rotate below them. "Your father called them a weakness, but I think they're amazing." Kira looked down at her hands. "I feel what others feel. Their pain becomes mine. Their anger burns inside me. How is this a gift? Because you understand people in a way others cannot. You know when someone is lying, when they're afraid, when they need comfort. That's not weakness, Kira. That's a superpower." No one had ever called her abilities valuable before. Among her people, she was broken, defective. But David spoke as if she was special in a good way. As weeks passed, Kira began to relax. David never raised his voice, never demanded anything from her. When she had nightmares about her old life, he would sit with her until the fear passed. When she struggled with human customs, he explained them patiently. She started helping in the labs, using her empathic abilities to calm frightened animals during medical procedures. The other scientists were amazed at how quickly aggressive creatures became peaceful under her touch. "You have a gift for healing," Dr. Martinez told her after watching her work with a wounded space dragon. "Have you ever considered training as a therapist?" The idea that she could heal instead of just feel others' pain was revolutionary. On her homeworld, empaths were hidden away, seen as cursed. Here, they wanted to train her to help her grow stronger. One evening, as Kira and David sat in the garden dome surrounded by plants from Earth, she finally asked a question that had been burning inside her. "Why are you kind to me?" David looked surprised. "Why wouldn't I be? I am your enemy's daughter. I was given to you as an insult. You could have left me in a cell, and no one would have blamed you." David was quiet for a long moment, watching the artificial sunset paint the dome walls orange and pink. "Do you know what my favorite thing about humans is?" he finally said. Kira shook her head. "We have this crazy idea that everyone deserves a chance to be happy. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect and kindness, no matter where they come from or what others say about them. It's not always easy, and we don't always succeed, but we keep trying." Tears started running down Kira's face. She had never cried in front of anyone before. Vorthan princesses were not allowed to show such weakness. But here with David, she felt safe enough to let the walls come down. "I never knew people could live like this," she whispered. David gently took her hand. "Now you do. And this can be your life too, if you want it." For the first time since childhood, Princess Kira smiled with real joy. Maybe her father's cruel joke had actually given her the greatest gift of all, a chance to discover who she really was. 2 years had passed since Princess Kira arrived on Luna Base. In the throne room of the Vorthan Imperial Palace, Emperor Malik stared at the holographic display floating before him. His red eyes burned with rage as he watched the images his spies had sent from the human colony. There was his daughter, but she looked nothing like the broken princess he had sent away. Kira stood in a human laboratory, her silver blue scales gleaming with health. She was laughing, actually laughing, as she worked alongside human scientists. Her movements were confident, graceful. She looked happy, but what made the Emperor's blood boil was what she held in her arms. A small child with mixed features, partly human, partly Vorthan. The baby had his mother's silver scales but softer and his father's brown eyes. When Kira looked down at the infant, her face showed a love so pure it made Malik want to destroy something. "This cannot be real," the Emperor growled, his claws digging into the arms of his throne. General Vex, his most trusted advisor, bowed low. "The intelligence is confirmed, Your Majesty. Princess Kira has bonded with the human male David Thompson. The child's name is Alex. He is now 8 months old. 8 months, Malik repeated slowly. And you are only telling me this now? We thought it was impossible, Your Majesty. Vorthan and human biology should not be compatible. But the child exists, and according to our sources, he displays remarkable abilities. The Emperor's rage grew hotter. What abilities? Enhanced strength and speed beyond human normal, but also advanced cognitive development. The child understands both languages already and shows signs of empathic powers stronger than any pure Vorthan. Malik stood up so fast his throne cracked. Show me more. The hologram changed to show Kira and David in what looked like their living quarters. They were teaching the baby to walk. When little Alex fell down, both parents rushed to comfort him. The child's eyes glowed briefly red, and both adults immediately calmed down, as if he had somehow soothed their worry. The hybrid appears to influence emotions, General Vex explained nervously, but not in a controlling way. More like healing. He takes away fear and pain. The display switched again. This time it showed Kira addressing a group of alien refugees who had come to Luna Bay seeking help. She spoke with authority and compassion, translating between species and helping resolve conflicts. The broken princess was gone. In her place stood a leader. The humans have made her their unofficial ambassador for alien relations. General Vex continued. Other species are beginning to request her specifically for diplomatic meetings. They trust her in ways they do not trust pure humans. Emperor Malik's mind raced. When he had given his defective daughter to the humans, he had expected them to abuse her or cast her aside. Either outcome would have proven human cruelty and justified rejecting their council application. Instead, they had done the impossible. They had made her stronger. What is the status of humanity's council membership? He demanded. That is problematic, Your Majesty. Several species have changed their votes. They point to Princess Kira as proof that humans can successfully integrate with alien life. The Rigel delegation specifically mentioned how humans saved their wounded diplomats during the space plague outbreak. 3 more species have requested human aid for their own problems. The Emperor began pacing, his heavy footsteps echoing through the chamber. This was supposed to be a joke, a simple humiliation that would keep the humans in their place. Yes, Your Majesty, but it appears to have had the opposite effect. Malik stopped pacing and turned to study the hologram again. Now it showed David and Kira sitting together in their garden dome, the baby playing between them. They looked like a perfect family. It disgusted him, but more than that, it terrified him. Do you understand what this means? He asked General Vex. I am not certain, Your Majesty. It means every defective alien in the galaxy will start looking to humanity for refuge. Every outcast, every weakling, every failure will see this and think they too can find acceptance among the humans. Malik's voice rose to a roar. They will abandon their own species and run to Earth. The general's 4 eyes widened as he understood. The Empire's workforce are lower castes. Exactly. Why should they stay and serve their betters when they can run to the humans and be treated like equals? This hybrid child is not just my daughter's offspring. He is a symbol of everything our empire stands against. Emperor Malik returned to his throne, but his rage had become cold and calculating now. Send word to Princess Kira. Tell her that her duty to the Empire requires her immediate return. She will come home, renounce her human connections, and take her proper place in the royal family. And if she refuses, Your Majesty? The Emperor's smile showed all his sharp teeth. Then we will retrieve her by force. And we will make sure the galaxy understands what happens to those who reject Vorthan authority. General Vex bowed again. The fleet can be ready within days. Make it so. But, General, Malik's voice became deadly quiet. When we retrieve my daughter, the human colony is to be destroyed. Every building, every person, every trace of this embarrassment must be erased. The galaxy must see that defying the Vorthan Empire has consequences. What about the child, Your Majesty? Emperor Malik was silent for a long moment, staring at the image of his grandson playing innocently in the garden. The baby represented everything he hated about human influence. Mixed bloodlines, emotional weakness, the dangerous idea that different species could be equal. Kill it, he said finally. "The hybrid is an abomination. Its existence threatens the natural order of things." As General Vex left to prepare the fleet, Emperor Malik continued watching the holographic display. His cruel joke had indeed backfired, but he would fix that mistake. Soon, his daughter would remember her place. The humans would be punished for their presumption, and the galaxy would once again understand that the Vorthan Empire did not tolerate challenges to its authority. He had no idea that across the galaxy, his daughter was teaching her son to say his first word. "Papa," in perfect human English. The alarm screamed across Luna Base at exactly 6:47 in the morning. Kira was feeding little Alex's breakfast when the red lights began flashing throughout their quarters. The baby gurgled happily, unaware that dozens of Vorthan warships had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. David rushed in from the communication center, his face pale. "Kira, we need to talk. Now." She could feel his fear through her empathic abilities. It hit her like a cold wave, making her hand shake as she set down Alex's feeding bottle. "What has happened?" "Your father's fleet. 37 ships, all armed. They're demanding your immediate return to the Vorthan homeworld." David's voice was steady, but Kira could sense the terror he was trying to hide. "They've given us 12 hours to comply, or they'll attack the base." Kira closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She had always known this day might come. For 2 wonderful years, she had lived in peace, learned what love meant, become a mother. But she was still Emperor Malik's daughter, still a piece in his political games. "I have to go," she said quietly. "No." David's voice was firm. "Absolutely not. We've already sent word to Earth Command and the Galactic Council. Help is coming." "David, there are 5,000 people on this base. Children in the schools, families in the residential sectors. I will not let them die because of me." Alex began to cry, sensing his mother's distress. Kira picked him up, and his tiny hands clutched at her silver scales. In his brown eyes, she saw both his father's determination and something else, an ancient wisdom that seemed impossible in someone so young. Ambassador Chen arrived with the base commander and several other officials. The emergency meeting was held in Kira's living room because no one wanted to separate her from Alex during the crisis. "Princess Kira," Ambassador Chen said formally, "the decision is entirely yours. The United Earth government will support whatever choice you make. If you wish to return prevent bloodshed, we understand. If you choose to stay, we will defend this base with our lives." The words hit Kira like a thunderbolt. Choose. For the first time in her life, the choice was truly hers. Not her father's command, not political necessity, but her own free will. "On my home world," she said slowly, "choice is a luxury only the strong can afford. The weak do as they are told or suffer the consequences. But you are offering me something my own people never did." "What's that?" David asked, though his empathic bond with her already knew the answer. "You are offering to fight for my right to choose, even if my choice costs you everything." Tears ran down her scaled cheeks. "You would die to protect my freedom." Commander Harrison, a gruff military man who had initially been suspicious of having an alien princess on his base, stepped forward. "Ma'am, with respect, you've saved more lives in the past 2 years than most people do in a lifetime. When the Rigel plague broke out, you worked 18-hour days helping our medical teams communicate with the victims. When the Centauri refugees arrived, you helped them integrate into our community. This base is your home now, and we protect our own." Through the window, they could see the Vorthan ships growing larger as they approached. The sleek black vessels looked like daggers pointed at Luna Base's heart. "There is something you need to know," Kira said, looking directly at David. "My father will not just want me back. He will want Alex dead." The room fell silent, except for the baby's soft breathing. "The hybrid child represents everything the Vorthan Empire fears," she continued. "Living proof that their ideas about racial superiority are wrong. Evidence that mixing species creates something stronger, not weaker. My father cannot allow that truth to spread." David's arms tightened around both Kira and Alex. "Then he'll have to go through me first." "And me," said Commander Harrison. "All of us," added Ambassador Chun. Kira felt their emotions through her empathic abilities, fear Yes, but also determination, love, and something she had never experienced in the Vorthan court. Loyalty freely given, not demanded. "I have made my choice," she announced, standing up with Alex in her arms. "I will face my father, but not as his broken daughter returning in shame. I will face him as a mother protecting her child, as a woman who has found her true strength." 6 hours later, Kira stood in the main communications center of Luna Base. The Vorthan fleet hung in space like a dark cloud, weapons powered and ready. On the main screen, Emperor Malik's face appeared, his red eyes burning with familiar rage. "Daughter," he said, his voice carrying across the void, "you will return immediately. Your games with these humans are over." "Hello, father," Kira replied calmly. "I see you still mistake love for games and strength for tyranny." The Emperor's expression darkened. "You dare speak to me with such disrespect? I speak to you with honesty, something you never taught me to value." Kira stepped closer to the screen, and her empathic abilities reached out across space, touching the minds of every Vorthan soldier in the fleet. "Tell me, father, why did you really come here?" "To retrieve my property and correct a mistake." "Property?" Kira laughed, and the sound held no fear. "I am no one's property. I am a mother, a diplomat, a healer. I am everything you said I could never be." Through her empathic connection, she felt surprise ripple through the Vorthan ships. Many of the soldiers had never heard anyone speak to their emperor this way. "You will return, or I will destroy everything you claim to love," Malik snarled. Kira looked down at Alex, sleeping peacefully in her arms despite the tension around him. When she looked back at the screen, her red eyes blazed with fire her father had never seen before. "Then you will have to destroy me first," she said, "because I am no longer the frightened girl you cast away. I am Princess Kira Thompson, Mother of the Future, and I choose to stand with those who see strength and love rather than fear and indifference." The transmission ended, leaving the base in tense silence. Outside, the Vorthan fleet began moving into attack formation. The battle for Luna Base was about to begin. Part 5, The New Dawn. The first Vorthan ship fired its weapons at exactly noon. The energy beam struck Luna Base's outer shield, causing the entire structure to shake. Emergency lights flashed as the base's defenses activated, but everyone knew the shields would not hold for long against 37 warships. In the command center, Kira stood with Alex in her arms while David coordinated the evacuation of civilians to the deep shelters. Commander Harrison barked orders to his defense teams, but his face showed the grim reality. They were vastly outnumbered. "Princess," came a voice from the communication station. "We're receiving a transmission from one of the Vorthan ships. It's not coming from the flagship." Kira looked up in surprise. "Put it through." The screen flickered, and instead of Emperor Malik's face, a younger Vorthan appeared. He wore the uniform of a ship captain, but his scales were lighter colored, marking him as one of the lower castes. "Princess Kira," he said quickly, "this is Captain Dex of the warship Thunderblade. My crew and I, we felt what you showed us through your empathic connection. The love, the acceptance, the peace you have found here." Kira's heart began to race. "Captain Dex, you should not be contacting me. Your Highness, half my crew are considered effective by Imperial standards. We have empaths, scholars, healers, all the types your father calls weak. But watching you stand up to the Emperor, it gave us courage to ask a question we never dared ask before." "What question? Would the humans accept us too?" Before Kira could answer, 2 more Vorthan ships sent similar messages. Then 5 more. Through her empathic abilities, she could feel doubt and hope spreading to the enemy fleet like wildfire. Soldiers who had been taught to despise weakness were seeing strength in her defiance. Warriors who had been told that mixing with aliens was wrong were witnessing the proof of its beauty in little Alex. Emperor Malik's furious voice cut through the communications. "All ships will cease unauthorized transmissions immediately. Captain Dex, you will return formation or face execution for treason." But it was too late. The seed of rebellion had been planted. On the flagship, General Vex approached the Emperor's command throne with obvious fear. "Your Majesty, we are receiving reports of unrest throughout the fleet. Some crews are refusing to fire on the base." Then execute the disobedient ones and promote their replacements. Malik roared. Sir, that would be nearly half our forces. Through the view screen, they could see several Vorthan ships breaking away from the attack formation. They moved to positions between the remaining Imperial fleet and Luna base, their weapons now pointed at their former allies. Kira felt tears of hope running down her face. Her empathic message had done more than she had dared dream. She had not just defied her father. She had started a revolution. All ships. This is Princess Kira, she announced over the open communications channel. To those who wish to break free from the Empire's hatred, Luna Base welcomes you. To those who still follow my father's cruel path, know that you face not just humans now, but Vorthans who have chosen a better way. The space battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Vorthan fought Vorthan while human ships arrived from Earth and other colony worlds. But the real battle was not one with weapons. It was one in the hearts and minds of beings who had finally seen an alternative to fear and oppression. When the smoke cleared 6 hours later, Emperor Malik's flagship stood alone. 12 Vorthan ships had joined the human defenders. 8 more had simply left, their crews declaring independence from the Empire. Only 7 remained loyal to the Emperor, and even those seemed uncertain. Father, Kira said over the communication channel, you have lost, not because our weapons were stronger, but because your soldiers chose hope over hatred. Surrender now, and I will ensure you are treated with the dignity you never showed others. Emperor Malik's image appeared on screen one final time. His face was twisted with rage, but behind it, Kira could sense something she had never felt from him before, fear. This is not over, he snarled. The Galactic Council will never accept this rebellion. They will crush your human pets and their alien sympathizers. The Council has already voted. Came a new voice. Ambassador Chen stepped into view, holding a communication device. The emergency session concluded an hour ago. Humanity has been granted full membership, with Princess Kira serving as our first alien relations ambassador. Furthermore, any being seeking refuge from oppression will be welcomed under the new Galactic Sanctuary Act. The Emperor's face went pale. His cruel joke had not just backfired. It had fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. You were right about one thing, Father, Kira said softly. Actions do speak louder than words. Your actions show the galaxy what tyranny looks like. Our actions show them what freedom can be. Emperor Malik's transmission cut off abruptly. His remaining ships retreated into the darkness of space, carrying the news of his defeat back to the Vorthan homeworld. 5 years later, Kira sat in the garden dome of New Luna, the expanded colony that had become a symbol of interspecies cooperation. Alex, now 6 years old, played with children from 12 different species. His best friend was a young Vorthan whose parents had been among Captain Dex's crew. David found her there as the artificial sunset painted the dome walls gold and red. The council meeting went well, he reported, sitting beside his wife. 3 more species have requested human mediation for their internal conflicts. And the latest refugee ship brought news that Captain Dex has established a free Vorthan colony in the Anteri system. Kira smiled, watching Alex teach his friends a game that combined human, Vorthan, and Rigelian traditions. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had refused my father's gift that day? Never, David said, taking her hand, because refusing you would have meant missing out on the greatest adventure of my life. Alex looked up from his game and waved at his parents. In his eyes, Kira saw the future, a galaxy where difference was celebrated, where the outcasts became the leaders, and where love truly could conquer hate. Emperor Malik had intended his gift to be a cruel joke. Instead, he had given the galaxy something far more precious, proof that from the worst intentions could come the most beautiful possibilities. The age of fear was ending. The age of hope had begun.